point. You want to move from income when you think about the book to thinking about the book in terms of impact. So think about the book, again, not in terms of income. Think about the book in terms of the impact. The reality is this: books don't generally create a massive revenue. For example, the price point that I've used, profit share per book, is generally about $6 per book if you self-publish that book and then promote that book. That's what you'll clear. That means in order to make a good amount of money on that book, you've got to sell a ton of books. Most people know about 200 people. I guarantee you probably cannot sell a book to every person that you know. Even if you did sell a book to all 200 of the people that you know and you made $6 per book, that's about $1,200. That's not a lot of money. So you really have to shift it. And I know you're going to sell to people that you don't know and they're going to lead it to other people. But again, a book's a one-off. So you got to sell it. You got to find more people and sell it, find more people and sell it, and keep selling and keep selling and keep selling. So really, we've got to shift here and say, okay, the book's not about the book. The book's about the message. Let's shift from income to let's start looking at impact. Here is the chart. This is inside of all of the materials that you have there in your book and the downloadable resources. We're going to build this out and do some comparison over the course of all of the media. So we'll keep coming back to this graphic. Again, a book, you make $6 per book. Even if you sell 1,667, that's a whole lot of books. You go, well, that's $10,000 is a lot of money. But again, you'd have to keep finding 1,600 more people. Find 1,600 more people. Now, at some point, there's going to be a book that you're going to do, probably going to do that, may even do better. But again, shift the idea from just looking at income on the book to what kind of impact can this book make when leveraged with my message and leveraged with the rest of the things that I can do in my ecosystem. Books work best, in my opinion, as a lead generator, as a calling card, as a long-form sales letter, and as an introduction to your framework. So if the book's not going to be kind of the primary moneymaker, and again, I know it is for some authors. Like some people, they sell a bunch of books, but I mean, like that's like getting struck by lightning, right? So if you get struck and you make a bunch of money on the book, that's incredible. But let's build a plan to where even if you don't, it's still going to work. So again, the books can work best as a lead generator, calling card, long-form sales letter, or introduction to a framework. Here's what you can do to help make that happen, is you can place a call to action in the front and in the back of your book. So I saw this strategy. I don't remember who did it. I saw it on a video on Facebook Live years ago. This guy that was teaching people about self-publishing their books, he said, here's what I would do. Amazon and all these places, they allow people many times to do this kind of look inside feature of the book. And so put something right there kind of on the look inside where as soon as they open up the book, there's something that even if they don't buy that book, it leads them to your website and invites them to learn more. And then he said also, what you might want to do is at the back of the book, make sure that you give them a next step. So somebody finishes your book, they go on this entire journey with you. Make sure that if they don't read the book, they just pick it up, they follow a next step. And also make sure at the back of the book, there's a next step. Also, here's another tip. Be sure the readers know how to contact you. They pick up the book. You don't want them necessarily going to the publisher. You want them to be able to find you. And so always have a next step for them. I'll tell you this, we would have books at vendor events and be there talking with people and sell them. And many times I would see people come up and buy the books. There were other times people would flip open the book and they would just take a screenshot of that page that offered a freebie or an opt-in or a next free step for them. Many of those times, the people would take a lead for that. And so always have a next step in the front of the book, next step in the back of the book, because a book is a great lead generator. Then make sure if they pick up that book, they can actually get in touch with you, go into your website, how to get in touch, and take a next step. Number 2 is sell other items on the back of the book. So not only do you want them to be able to take a next step, you actually want to sell more items on the back of the book. Here's what I mean. We're going to take some time on this. Explore the free plus shipping funnel to move people deeper into your message. Now, several years ago, let me explain what a free plus shipping funnel is. I was listening to a podcast. I'm running through the streets. I don't remember whose podcast it was. And I hear this guy talk about what he was doing. He sold his first book and the sales were abysmal. And so we thought, well, I've got to study, like, how am I going to market this thing and how am I going to get this out there? Because the book was great, but then you see a lot of crappy books that are doing well. You might have thought this, you've written a great book, and you're like, how is that book selling better than these other books that have a more meaningful, more powerful message? Well, a lot of it comes down to the messaging and knowing how to just present it to people and let them know, hey, this book's available for you to buy, and then getting the offer in front of those people. So he had, and you've probably seen this floating around the internet, this free plus shipping model. So he thought about this. Instead of selling the book, what if I just broke even on the book? Okay, so what if I, $7-ish, I tell people, if you pay the shipping and handling, I will send you this book in the mail. And I know you think, well, you're giving up the $6 per book. But remember, like, we got to sell thousands of books to make any money on that. So you say, all right, you pay the $7 for the shipping and handling. I will send you the book in the mail for free. You look at the transaction. If 10 people do that, just listening to this on the podcast, all of a sudden that's $70 that are retail. But instead of just ending right there, when people go to check out, you actually offer them what's called either a bump or an upsell. We'll talk about both of those terms in just a second. That means this: when they check out, it says, hey, your order, we've got it, but before you finalize, would you like to add this related product to your order? And then we'll ship you that, or we'll give you instant access to that with this book, with this transaction. And so the idea was, well, what if we sold a $100 product on the back of that book? And the guy that I was listening to, he said, you can expect about 15 to 20% of the people to take advantage of that bump or that upsell, that extra offer. So it means this, that if you sold 10 books for $7 and all of a sudden $70 in transactions, 20% of the people take the upsell or the bump. We'll talk through the different terms in just a moment. They take that. Okay, you've added $200 to this transaction, so now it's $270. Now, think about if the books break even and all of that kind of zeroes out, all of a sudden what you've made is not $270 in profit, you've made $200 in profit. Do you see that? If you can get this taken as a zero cost, no profit, no loss type scenario. So you start looking at this and you go, well, what are the chances, just thinking, that I could get 2 people to show up and give me $100 just like that? Well, that might be pretty slim. What are the chances that I could sell? I mean, how many books would it take to get this $200 profit if we divided it by 6, almost 40-ish, 35 to 40 type of books? How hard would it be to sell that? It's much easier to give away 10 books at a free plus shipping scenario and then upsell, particularly if we know that 20% of the people are going to take it. So when you start selling more items on the back of the book, all of a sudden your profit margin escalates. Now, I had some experience with this back when I was at the Business Builders Workshop. When I was listening to this play on the podcast, I had that Business Builders Workshop and I thought, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to see if this play works. And so what I did, instead of selling for $7, I wanted to make sure I broke even. So I was going to sell that business workshop, just the workbook, for $8. And then I was going to do on the back of it, I had a USB flash drive with all those videos that I was selling on DVD. I now had them on a USB flash drive. Didn't yet have them all digitized on my website. I'm going to sell those. And what happened is over the next couple of days, 1,000 orders for an $8 book came in. And about 15 to 20% of the people actually took the $97 USB and upsold. I broke even on all the $8 transactions. 20% of those people ended up taking the USB. Everybody else is in the email funnel now and in the ecosystem. All of a sudden, we're making thousands of dollars when really it would have been hard to probably sell 10 of those books aside from being at an actual event. Now, this fall, I was meeting with a publisher and we were talking about this scenario. And he said this. He said, here's what you need to do though. Whenever you do that, do the upsell, but don't stop offering items until your customer stops buying items. And he said, you don't have to be really salesy when you do this. You don't have to be hokey, but if you're going to lead people with the book and then offer them more products, knowing that 15 to 20% of the people will take those more products, don't stop offering items for them to buy until they stop buying. So let me give you an example, and he actually drew this out. So he said, so suppose we start with an initial offer of $5.99. And then at checkout, we offer a bump. I'll explain what a bump is in just a moment. And so people go, 15 to 20% of the people take that. And then after they check out, you go to another offer. So they upsell. Maybe it's a video course or something that's related. 15 to 20% of the people who took this take this. At this point, if these people back out, that's okay. It was a zero-sum game. You didn't lose anything, and you've got somebody else that has your message. And now you've got their contact information, so you can follow up with them and you can invite them to visit your website. You can invite them to other related bits of information and content that you have. You can also offer them a purchase for any of these items at some point in the future. So it's not a loss, but 15 to 20% take this bump. 15 to 20% of those usually take the second offer. 15 to 20% of those even take the third offer. So the numbers get smaller each time. But the point is, you don't stop until the person stops buying. And again, you don't have to do it in a hokey way. You don't have to be salesy. You can just kind of, hey, this is related. You might like this. Here's a next great step for you. Here's the difference between the bump and the upsell. A bump happens when people go check out in their cart on your website. It happens before, so B, bump, before, you can remember that, B, bump, before the customer completes their purchase. Usually it's just a checkbox. Hey, do you want to click this? Would you like to add this to your order too? Sometimes you message it in such a way, hey, a lot of people choose to purchase this. It goes well with it's always a related product. It's not something unrelated. It's a logical next step that's a lower cost, quick, easy add-on to their purchase. It can be an impulse buy. Here's a way to think about it. When I'm with my kids at the grocery store, we get through the checkout line and all of a sudden it's like, hey, I need. Hey, what about? Because they see all these magazines, they see this gum, they see those candies. That's stuff that we weren't thinking about before, but all of a sudden when we're making the purchase of the chicken fingers or the pizza or whatever it is that we're buying, that's a bump. It's like a way to just increase the average cart value. And again, 15 to 20% of the people who come through your checkout cart on your book will take the bump if it is a related offer. In fact, this past year, we helped a pastor launch a book. And one of the things that we did was he had this workbook. We were doing a free plus shipping offer. It was $5.05 for the workbook, ship it to him in the mail, and that would cover everything. We also had him, I encouraged him, he's a great communicator, to go shoot a video course that we put at a retail price of $75. We marked it as an upsell, which I'm about to explain, for $37. I extracted the audio from that video course, so we created nothing new. We took the audio off the video and made basically an audiobook version of the workbook that we presented as the bump. So $5.05 book, workbook, $21, regularly $28, so it's on a slight sale, $21 audio as the bump. The bump on that website, still to this day, is the #1 seller. The audio that was not a product, that did not exist until we just extracted the audio from the video course, is the #1 by volume of dollars and by number of transactions, oddly enough, aside from the book that's leading right into it. An upsell is this. An upsell is a little bit different than a bump. An upsell occurs after the checkout. So an upsell is generally on a confirmation page, on a thank you page. It's of a higher cost. It may even cost more than the first purchase. In fact, most of the time it does. It's often presented as a special deal or as a one-time offer. So again, bump occurs before they check out. It's a lower ticket item. Think grocery store line. Upsell after they check out. That's this one. Usually not candy or something low level. It's usually something that could be of a higher cost. Both of these are related products. And here's what I'm suggesting you do with the book is let these things start riding on the back of the book. So it becomes not about the income from the book. It becomes about some of the other things that occur that you could do as you start sharing that message more and more. Now, this strategy is another mind shift. It works the opposite of typical book launches. Right now, you can go onto the internet and you can see people launching books like this. Buy my book and I'll give you all this free stuff. So a typical book launch, you got a book, it's $15, and people say, hey, if you go buy my book and you go buy it on Amazon, you go buy it Barnes & Noble, you go buy it wherever you want to buy the book, you go buy the book, and then you come back and enter your receipt number, transaction number on my website where you kind of, they're going to collect your contact information at that point. You buy this $15 book, I'll give you all these free bonuses. I'll give you this video course. I'll give you this bonus audio. I'll give you some other PDF. I'll even invite you and coach you or do something else, invite you to my membership group. You buy this $15 book, I will give you all this stuff for free. And here's the result. Per book, there's minimal profit. Now, there are people that can get away with this that have huge audiences and do extremely well off this. But what it's doing is people are having to buy the book somewhere, and then you got to drive that traffic to your website to collect their contact info. And then as the end result, you're looking over here, and the dollars is the money you make off the book, which, remember we said, is about $6 per book. And that's a lot of assuming you get them to go from the book to get them to go to your website and then follow up. Here's what we're doing. Here's the paradigm shift that I'm suggesting is, hey, I'll give you the book. That's the lowest ticket item on the whole thing. That's the cheapest thing that you have. I'll give you the book, and then I'll sell all the other stuff that other people normally give away. Okay, so again, here's the opposite. So you give the book away, and then you offer some of this other stuff as bumps and upsells, and instead of making $6 per book, you start averaging a transaction cart value of not 6, but maybe 11, 25, 30, 45, $100 or more. You've maximized the profit by looking at things a completely different way. So again, what I did is early on, I tried this with that Business Builder Workshop, and then people would go, they buy it, they check out. When they're checking out, it offers them the opportunity of, hey, would you like not just the workbook, but this USB drive? And if you want it, I'll drop that in the mail. It's not costing me any more to mail that than it is to mail the book. I'll just drop that in and send it to you as well. This past year, we've tried it with audio, as I just explained. We've tried it with video. And again, it holds true. About 15 to 20% of the people will take the bump that's presented before they check out. About 15 to 20% of the people will take the upsell that is presented after they check out. So it's an incredible way to increase your profit and to make a bigger impact, because what you really need to do to increase the volume then of what you're earning is send more people to the free book as long as that funnel is working. I also tried this earlier this year. This was interesting, is I wrote this book, Life Lift. This was a rewrite of a book that my dad put together about 20, 25 years ago. And so when I rewrote it, my dad and I agreed that just take the whole book, rewrite it. It was written 2 decades ago, put it in new language, update it theologically, make it more robust, share with people everything that you think should be in there. And then when we edit the book together, I would just put it, anything that needed to go on the cutting room floor, knowing that I could just reuse it for another project or for another book. So as we sat down and went through 500 pages, my dad and I are kind of met with this tension. The first bit of tension is, hey, I don't know what we would cut out. It seems like it all needs to go in there. It seems like it all needs to stay. So I'm not sure what you eliminate. The second tension is most people probably are not going to read a 500-page book. So here's what we decided to do. It was like actually my dad's idea. He said, take that book, there were 4 parts in the book, and just cut that book into 4 separate books. So all these 125-page books are the exact same book as this book. And it's available on my website in both forms. You can buy it like a 500-page book, and if you buy the 500-page book, I can sell that for about 18 to 20 bucks. I can sell all 4 of these books for about 12 to 15 bucks each. It's the same content, but I can make more, and it's more appealing to people selling it this way than it is selling it this way. So this past year, I ran a free plus shipping funnel off of a workbook that I have based on that. This is the Life Lift workbook that's based on that big book. So it's kind of the bullet pointed version. It's like you just breeze through. There's 20 lessons in it. It comes with a video course. Hey, if you'll pay the shipping and handling on this book, I'll send it to you. And then when people go to check out, there's a bump for these 4 books for 30 bucks. So if these are costing me just a couple dollars to print, and people buy this for 30 bucks, all of a sudden, like, I've increased the cart value. Would people ever buy that 500-page book? Very few people would. But all of a sudden, when it's 120 pages and people already, they've already got their credit card out, the most difficult thing for people to do and for you to get people to do when you're selling something online is to get them, they're looking at it to go, oh, now I got to go get my credit card. That's why Amazon stores your information. And so when they make that transaction, if there's related things that you're showing them, many times they will add those. So the paradigm shift comes, let me give you this for free, whatever it is, and then offer other things, and don't stop offering other items until the point where they stop. So I've given you a couple ideas on that. You'll think of other ideas. You'll try them as well. The point is just kind of explore. It is not a science. It literally is just experimental. So again, with this one book, Life Lift, one book became 4. That was the original version. This was what it turned into. It's all the same information. It's just how you package it, how you present it. Let me show you the graphic of what all of this looks like. So this is our funnel, and this is where we want to get people. We want to get them inside here, and ideally, we want to take them deeper in the journey. So your income is going up as you get them deeper. Access to you is increasing as they go deeper. You're making a bigger impact as they go deeper. And again, it's not all about the money, but it does take money to make this stuff happen. So you're writing the blog, you're creating the podcast, you're sharing on social media, all in an effort to get them to a landing page on your website. At that landing page, which we talk about when we do the information in media on websites, they're presented with the offer. The offer is, if you want this or whatever it is that you're offering, I'll send it to you. You pay the shipping and handling. So you break even on it. You're getting a new lead, and you're inviting people into your ecosystem a little bit deeper in your funnel than just an email or people visiting. At the point you offer the bump, this one was the book bundle. At some point, you can offer something as a course. Either way, regardless, what you got to do is then follow up with that person. You don't want to just leave them hanging. Now, lately, one of the best products that we've seen that you can actually do a bump with is the audiobooks.